wanted to talk briefly about 4 life events that you should consider not cashing out your 401k to fund. I recently came across this article from Dave Ramsey's site. It was written by Chris Hogan, and it rang very true. There are things that we see working with people or just people that come in our office to visit about working with them. Here's 4 main reasons you should not cash out a 401k. Losing your job or changing jobs. It's very tempting to go ahead if you've only put in $5,000, $10,000 into it. You're in your 20s, early 30s, you have a need or you think you have a need. It's very tempting to just say, I'll just take that out and I'll start back up at my new job. Or just want to have the funds available until I have my next job. Or it's only $4,500 that I'm taking. And while that's true, and while a person may still be relatively young, it still has a big impact. If you pay taxes and you pay penalties on that $4,500 withdrawal, for example, you're only going to get $2,925 of that $4,500. Uncle Sam kept the rest in penalties and taxes. If you had a moderate growth portfolio, and let's say you did achieve 8% average annualized return, some good years, some bad years, but you averaged 8 over the next 40 years. 25-year-old's going to be 65 years old 40 years from now. That would grow to almost $100,000. So that's not a $1,600 mistake. That's actually a $101,600 mistake over a young person's lifetime over the next 40 years. The second thing that is very common to hear is I want to use it for education expenses. And while that may seem to be a very worthwhile goal to pay for some of your education expense if you're going back to school, working on a degree, maybe your child's education expense, that may seem all well, but the problem with that is a lot of people might not cash out their 401k, but they'll go in and they'll borrow against it. And while the common thing that we hear is I'm paying myself back when we pay this back, there's actually a few pitfalls that people need to be aware of. What are the consequences? It has to be paid back with interest, for one. You pay it back alone with after-tax dollars. That's working against you. It takes longer to build back the same amount of money that you've taken out because of that. And then the other big thing that hardly ever gets thought of is when you take that out and you have a loan against your 401k and you either leave that employer to go to a new one or you're let go, laid off, downsized, and you take another employer, go to work for another employer, you've got to pay that thing back. And if you don't have money just sitting around in a savings account to pay that back, they're going to hold that out and you're going to be taxed on it. So that's a reason to consider all other resources before you would borrow against your 401k. Number 3, making a large purchase. Maybe the idea of paying for a child's wedding or doing a big renovation on your home, or maybe a down payment because you're going to upgrade your home, you're going to upsize your home. Those are all common things that people might consider taking a withdrawal out of their 401k that they usually regret later. Lastly, although not the only exhaustive list, paying off debt. It would just seem to make sense to knock out some of my debt, or paying down debt is smart. It's a good move. And by and of itself, it is good to pay down debt. Every one of us should strive to pay down our debt and keep it paid down. But if you're doing it with your 401k, that's not the answer for many reasons. One above that we mentioned, the taxes and the penalties that you're going to pay doing it, and then the lost earnings going forward. If you're to get a good return on that investment, that could be a $100,000 mistake. So while it might feel really good to pay off $5,000 or $10,000 worth of debt, you could pay a lot of interest on a loan for a couple, 3 more years, as opposed to losing out on all of that compounding interest and growth as well as those penalties and taxes that you're going to pay. So I thought the article was very good at pointing out 4 of the common reasons people should think twice about not cashing out their 401k. They're things that we see. And we'll put the link in here as well, so you'll be able to see the full article that was on the Dave Ramsey website.